What practitioners see in mirrors, archetypes, spirits, timelines. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Mirror series. In today's teaching, we move from theory into perception, into what actually happens when you enter a reflective field in sacred space. This video is titled, What Practitioners See in Mirrors, and it's not hypothetical. This is a cross-cultural breakdown of what has been consistently reported by mystics, healers, diviners, and trained seers for thousands of years when using reflective surfaces for spiritual access. We're going to explore visions of archetypes, spirits, timelines, and symbolic fields, and explain how to differentiate authentic mirror responses from projection, imagination, or interference. Let's begin with a simple but critical idea. Mirror vision is symbolic first, literal second. That means what appears in the mirror is not always a direct answer. It is often an encoded representation of a truth. You may not see an angel or a ghost as you would in a film. You might see a flash of light, a sudden face that looks familiar but isn't yours, or a landscape that carries an emotional charge you can't explain. You may see nothing visually, but receive an internal surge of knowing, or a physical sensation that comes with a name, message, or image seconds later. Mirror sight is multisensory. It's not just about eyes, it's about frequency alignment, nervous system receptivity, and symbolic intelligence. In structured mirror work, 3 types of perception tend to dominate. Archetypal visions. These are symbolic images that represent deep energetic themes. The child, the crone, the trickster, the warrior, the serpent, the mother, the gatekeeper. These are not beings, but fields. They often appear when you're facing a psychological threshold or spiritual video. In the mirror, you might see a person staring back who is not you, but is also somehow within you. The face might age, change gender, morph through expressions or features. These are not hallucinations. They are symbolic reflections of dormant or active roles within your own psyche or field. Spiritual contact. These are moments when the mirror field becomes a contact point for other entities, ancestral, guiding, shadow-based, or informational. This does not mean you're summoning spirits. It means you're receiving transmissions from energies that are aligned with your inquiry. These presences may appear visually, orally, emotionally, or somatically. You might feel a cold breeze. You might sense someone watching you. You might hear a voice, not external, but unmistakably not your own. You might see a figure in the mirror that appears and vanishes in a blink. These encounters require discernment and protocol, which we'll discuss further. Timeline distortions. Perhaps the most misunderstood and destabilizing category of mirror perception. These are flashes of events, places, or emotions that do not belong to your current timeline. You may see a version of yourself older, younger, or living a completely different life. You may see a location you've never visited, but suddenly remember. You may feel an emotion connected to something you haven't lived through, at least not here. These are not fabrications. They are dimensional echoes, either ancestral memory, parallel self-bleed-through, or future potential collapsing into present awareness. So what do you do with these visions once they appear? The answer is not to immediately interpret them. The first task of any mirror seer is to hold the image without assigning meaning too quickly. This is where most practitioners, especially modern ones, make mistakes. They are so conditioned to seek certainty and resolution that they misread the signal. Archetypal visions, for example, are often misinterpreted as literal prophecy or psychological diagnosis. But archetypes aren't answers. They're mirrors of what energy is active in the field at that moment. They are invitations to observe a theme, not decode a riddle. When you see a face that morphs into your parent, then into a stranger, then into a glowing skull, that doesn't necessarily mean death is coming. It could mean an old identity is collapsing. It could mean you're being invited to confront legacy programming. The mirror is not trying to scare you. It's reflecting the layered components of your field. And if your question has anything to do with healing, transformation, or release, then yes, the symbols may be stark. But they are there to be witnessed, not feared. For those who experience spiritual contact in the mirror, the guidelines are even more precise. Do not engage every presence. Just because something appears doesn't mean it has authority. Like in dreams, spirits in mirrors can be messengers, ancestors, projections, or watchers. The key is to check the quality of the energy, not just the form. Is the presence coherent? Do you feel stabilized or drained? Is the information offered aligned with your inner compass? Or does it feel manipulative, dramatic, or vague? If the answer is unclear, pause the session. Mirror work is an energetic conversation. You can step back, center yourself, and return when grounded. If the presence returns consistently and always offers calm, precise, non-invasive information, it may be a guide or ancestor. If it seeks attention, creates emotional urgency, or appears erratically, you're likely dealing with a fragmented field, either yours or an external interference. In that case, don't try to decode the image. Close the mirror, reset your field, and review your protection protocols before trying again. And then there are timeline visions. These can be destabilizing because they interrupt your sense of what's real. You may see yourself as someone else. You may see flashes of a memory you can't place, or hear a voice speaking in a language you don't know, These are often misunderstood as imagination, but they're not random. They are signs that your perceptual bandwidth has expanded, and you're now picking up data from alternate timelines, what we might call adjacent lives, soul memory, or future echoes. The mirror doesn't invent these. It reflects them back from the resonance of your question. If you asked about a decision and suddenly see yourself in another life path, that's the mirror offering a potential trajectory. What matters here is containment and integration. Write down what you saw, journal what you felt. Don't try to figure it out immediately. Some visions will take days, weeks, even years to fully reveal their meaning. Mirror work is not about answers. It's about opening channels of symbolic truth that unfold over time. The mirror is the portal, but your life is the decoder. One of the most important skills a mirror practitioner can develop is the ability to distinguish signal from projection. Projection occurs when your subconscious fears, desires, or biases override the neutral mirror field and begin populating it with expected images. For example, if you enter the mirror with fear of betrayal, you may see a figure turning away or disappearing, not because betrayal is guaranteed, but because your emotional field is already encoding that possibility. The mirror multiplies what you bring. That includes unprocessed emotion. The antidote to projection is not detachment. It's self-awareness. Before every mirror session, ask yourself, am I trying to confirm something, or am I willing to be shown something new? Am I entering to receive truth, or am I looking for a specific kind of comfort? Projection tends to rush. Signal tends to arrive slowly, quietly, with coherence. You'll notice that authentic mirror transmissions are rarely dramatic. They are often subtle, nonlinear, and emotionally stable, even when the content is intense. This is why experienced seers keep symbol libraries, personal glossaries of what certain images, colors, faces, or sensations have meant to them over time. These are not universal symbols. They are individual. For one practitioner, a silver bird may represent guidance. For another, the same image may symbolize escape, betrayal, or ancestral lineage. Over time, your mirror sessions will reveal consistent symbols that belong specifically to your field. These are not mental inventions. They are language keys, your personal codebook for decoding what the mirror reveals. And yet, symbolic fluency means nothing without spiritual hygiene. Long-term mirror work requires ongoing practices to clear, reset, and protect your energetic system. The mirror is a neutral tool, but once activated, it becomes a field amplifier. That means unresolved wounds, ancestral debris, or external interference can all be magnified if you're not maintaining your clarity. After each session, take time to ground. Wash your hands, close the mirror with intention, cleanse the space with smoke, salt, or sound if needed. If a session feels off, don't override your intuition. Treat it as a cue to pause and realign. In some cases, advanced practitioners report mirror fatigue, a kind of psychic echo or perceptual overstimulation from working with mirrors too often or too intensely. This is real. Mirror work, like all deep intuitive work, requires cycles of activation and integration. You are not meant to enter the mirror constantly. Once per lunar cycle is often ideal, especially for emotional or spiritual questions. For tracking timelines, even less is required. The mirror remembers more than you do, so allow space for its messages to unfold. In closing, remember this. What appears in the mirror is never separate from your field. Whether it's an archetype, a spirit, or a timeline, it is showing up because something in your field is ready to witness it. Your only task is to receive with integrity, interpret with humility, and protect the sanctity of the mirror as a sacred tool, not a shortcut for certainty. In our next session, we'll explore mirror gazing and trance states, how the brain shifts during mirror work, what altered vision actually is, and how to safely deepen your practice without slipping into fantasy or energetic depletion. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas. 11 times published author and School of Soul has just released one of our most requested deep dives, the Magic and Occult series. This series is not for the faint of heart. It's for those who know there's more going on beneath the surface, behind the media, behind the family, behind the system. This series breaks the spell and hands you the map. The Magic and Occult series includes over 200 videos on 1. Entertainment or ritual. Decoding mainstream media as mass spellwork. 2. Occult families. Spot them. How generational magic and ritual lineage hides in plain sight. 3. Occult symbolism. The signs, seals, and signals used to claim, curse, or command. 4. Esoteric symbolism. Layered meaning, sacred geometry, and encoded messages. 5. Law is magic. How contracts, courts, and language are rituals of power. 6. Spells and spirits. What magic really is, and what happens when you use it. 7. Covens and lodges. Where modern ritual happens, and who's involved. 8. Destiny swapping. How rituals steal timelines, talent, or soul contracts. 9. Energy harvesting. Spiritual parasitism, and how to seal your field. 10. The clairs. Your intuitive senses. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and more. 11. Become magical. How to strengthen your gifts, protect your mind, and wield conscious force. 12. Miracles are real, divine intervention, faith portals, and supernatural reversals. 13. The chosen ones, what sets them apart and why they're always targeted. 14. The black sheep, the generational breaker, often isolated by design. 15. Targeted individuals, spiritual and technological targeting of aware souls. 16. Gang stalking, organized spiritual and psychological warfare. This is the most revealing, most spiritually advanced, and most protective series SOS has ever released. If you've ever felt something was off about this world, this will confirm it and prepare you for what comes next. Your protection begins with knowledge. Join the SOS School of Sos Vault.